that above the time signature where it says A3, that just means it's three voice. It's a three voice fugue. So it's in three voices. The tempo marking isn't Bach's. So Bach didn't give any tempo markings for any of these. So that's an editor that has, Donald Tovey has suggested this as a possible tempo. And you see that you don't have any dynamic markings or articulation markings with staccato or slurs. And so there are a lot of decisions that are left to the performer in playing a Bach Prelude and Fugue. So the answer occurs then a fourth below in the alto voice. At the very beginning, you can see that it's the soprano that states the subject because you have rests, whole rests that are in the bass clef, and you see two of those. So that indicates both voices, are resting in those first four measures. So the answer occurs at the dominant level, and you then have in the original voice that stated in soprano, then the counterpoint against that. And you then have two measure bridge at measures 9 and 10, and then you have the third voice enters at measure 11. The way that Bach constructs this subject is very motivic. So he takes a unit that's half a measure long and sequences that up by a step in the second half of the first measure. He then takes, in the second measure, a unit, a motive that is one measure long, and then he sequences that up by step. That has the leap of a seventh, which is a very characteristic element that is very noticeable when you hear the statement of the subject throughout this fugue, when you hear that leap. Originally, that leap is going up. And so that's what happens in the second measure and the third measure. And then the fourth measure, then again, you have a unit that's half a measure that's sequenced then down, and it's sequenced the fourth lower. It takes you back, to the starting point. And so that's an example of, motivic construction of a subject. So he can take any of those units and use those then to sequence and to develop. So the main thing that this particular fugue does is to present that subject in inversion. So if you look at measure 24, you can see the presentation of the subject in inversion in the soprano voice. And by that point, it's gotten to the key of D major, to the dominant level. And there's some material that you'll hear that first appears at measure 17. And you see that it's stated 4 times there. And that is associated with the episodes in this particular fugue. And so it has, 2 voices in the right hand, 1 voice in the left hand. And so you'll see that again at the top of the second page, only now. The melody that has the tied quarter notes, which had originally been in the top voice, is now in the lower voice, and the other voices are providing the same basic background. That's an example of invertible counterpoint, when you can switch the voices around like that. And what was the top voice can now be the lower voice, and so forth. So, and if it's 3 voices, it's called triple counterpoint. If it's in 2 voices, it's called double counterpoint. Anyway, all these technical terms for the way that the voices relate to the way that things are manipulated have to do with the contrapuntal style. So this goes through the relative minor key. It also goes through the key of B minor at the bottom of the second page. And there's a stretto passage at the end. So we're going to stop there for now. We'll listen to this first thing on Thursday. And then we'll be talking about a late Beethoven sonata on Thursday, Opus 109.